9 News Plus weather, sponsored by Carrier Colorado. The future of home comfort is here.
Steve, are you going to do that tomorrow?
Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm 9 News Meteorologist Chris Bianchi with the detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast. And today we do have that threat for some strong to severe thunderstorms, mainly over northeastern Colorado. And today's threat is a bit higher than usual. And I'll explain why here in just a second. But another thing that's unusual and honestly kind of weird about today and tonight's threat for severe storms, it looks a lot later. So we're talking about those storms that could develop as late as maybe even 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight out on the northeast plains. And maybe one or two of those storms sneak their way into the Denver metro area. But for the metro area, our chances of seeing a storm are pretty low, but non-zero. And the issue for the metro area is if we do see a storm, it'll probably be on the strong side. So I'll kind of sum this all up for here in just a second. First of all, here's a look from Lookout Mountain, where things looking pretty cloudy this afternoon. That's actually good news in terms of helping avoid some of those stronger storms later on. That cloud cover reduces the amount of heat in the atmosphere. It just lowers the overall energy potential for those storms later on today and tonight. So a little bit of good news by seeing some of that cloud cover out there. That said, still looking at that threat for severe storms later on this evening. Those storms may turn severe, as I mentioned, with the higher risk for seeing some of those severe storms east of town. And we could even see some of those severe storms overnight, which is pretty unusual for us out in eastern Colorado. It dries on out for tomorrow, and it stays dry for a few days after that. But for that risk for severe storms, again, mainly over northeast Colorado. In orange, we have a level 3 risk on a 0 to 5 scale, yellow, level 2, and in dark green, including Denver, a level 1 risk in terms of that potential for severe storms. We could, across the northeast plains, see up to softball-sized hail. So just to reemphasize, these are not your usual Colorado summer afternoon showers and thunderstorms. These are, at least have the potential for some big, bad storms later on this afternoon, this evening, and also a few tornadoes possible out across the northeastern plains as well. So that hail threat, that is going to be the main concern for us for this afternoon and this evening. Also across northeast Colorado, that's where we could see that potential for some of those really, really big hailstones, as well as some damaging winds. Right now, HE Doppler radar, it's mostly pretty quiet statewide, but you look off to our north, and this is our sign of trouble. What you might notice here across central Wyoming, you just about pick it out. Notice that distinct, well-defined, low-level spin. You just see that swirl in there across Wyoming. And I'll tell you what here, folks, that is unusual for this time of year. Normally in early to mid-August, we're not talking about a strong area of low pressure like this moving through our part of the country, but that's what we're seeing. And you couple that with our midsummer heat and humidity, and that is going to lead to that heightened risk for severe storms. By the way, you might notice that up there into the Wind Rivers and the Tetons of Wyoming, that is indeed snow that is falling above 10,000 feet in elevation. So that temperature differential will help fuel some of those showers and storms, some of those stronger storms later on today. Meantime, closer to home, here's a few of those storms developing out across Larimer County. Those will try and push the way on out into the I-25 urban corridor here over the next hour or two. Once these storms push their way off to the east, that's when we could be seeing some stronger storms later on this afternoon, and really more into the evening time frame. So time this out for you. We'll see some of those stronger storms develop between about 4 and 7, maybe 4 and 8 p.m. out across the northeastern plains. And whichever storms we see develop out there, these could be big ones. Again, big storms possible between 4 and 8 p.m. But that's round one. Then we get perhaps a second round of storms later on to the evening after about 8 p.m. So again, there's that potential for overnight storms. And I'll say this for the Denver area, we've probably got a better chance of seeing a storm with round 2 after about 8 p.m. So again, if maybe come 5, 6, 7 o'clock, you're saying, Chris, where are the storms? I haven't seen anything today. I would say wait. There's a pretty good chance we don't end up with a storm here in the metro area tonight, but unfortunately, we could see those storms into the overnight hours. So just don't be surprised as you fall asleep tonight or overnight as you're sleeping. You might get woken up by some of those flashes of lightning or hearing some of that rain on the roof. Could be dealing with some of that tonight and to the early morning hours tomorrow. So closer look in here at the metro area. Again, higher risk for a storm as you head north and east of Denver. So that'd be Morgan, Weld, eastern Adams, eastern Arapahoe counties, maybe even Larimer County with a slightly higher chance of seeing a storm than Denver. But again, 2 waves of storms. Initial one unlikely to impact the metro area. Second one a bit more likely to give us some storms here in the metro area, and that one would impact us probably after about 8 p.m. And we could see some of those storms in through the overnight hours. Then tomorrow morning we clear on out, and it's beautiful for tomorrow. Temperature right now 84 for us in Denver. The warmer it gets, the more fuel, the more instability we've got for those storms later on this afternoon and this evening. So I'm keeping a very, very close eye on that and those temperatures. So right now it's a little bit on the warm side, but about usual. Dew points 48 in Denver right now. It's been kind of wobbling around, but once we start getting to 50+ degree dew points, it's fairly humid for Denver and eastern Colorado standards. 60+, that is very humid for Colorado standards, and that means we got a lot of energy with which to work with. That's why that risk for severe storms a bit higher as you head east and north of Denver. But for tonight, temperatures drop back into the 50s. Storms stay mainly east of town, and then after tonight, a ridge of high pressure builds on in, and that means we'll dry things out, warm on up, and it's looking a lot drier and a lot warmer for the rest of the week. So if you're looking for some of that more typical midsummer weather, I've been getting a lot of your complaints about why it's been so dry or why it's been so wet and cool all summer. Well, you're probably gonna like this forecast. Look at tomorrow, it looks just gorgeous. Low to mid 80s, lots of sunshine. Basically no storm chances for tomorrow. It's gonna really dry on out for tomorrow. So again, you're gonna have a gorgeous day ahead for tomorrow. So if you got those outdoor plans, make them for tomorrow. Looking great. Temps maybe in the mid 80s and a few hot spots in the metro area. Most of us in the low 80s. It's comfortable. It's not muggy either. So it's a very, very nice day overall. And then once we get into your Thursday, Friday, we'll start to warm things back up again to around seasonal levels. And then by the weekend, we get those monsoonal showers and storms back into the picture before a drier start to next week. And we'll, by the way, warm things up fairly significantly for next week as well. It looks like next week trending on the warm and dry side. So again, once we get past today, it should be much warmer and dry for us across the Front Range and northeastern Colorado. Meantime, western and southern Colorado, red flag warning, and that is where another thing to keep in mind is while it's been so wet and cool here across eastern Colorado, totally different situation for us into the mountains and specifically the southwestern mountains, the San Luis Valley, the western slope, the San Juans. It has been bone dry. Alamosa with its driest summer to date on record, and we've just had basically no monsoon season. Those monsoon showers and storms that we typically see this time of year, they've been nowhere to be found, and that means we've just been dealing with a growing drought out into western Colorado. Unfortunately, that's only likely to expand. But for us here along the Front Range, obviously a very, very different situation with an unusually wet start to our summer and start to our calendar year, and that will continue with some strong severe storms for today. So again, severe storms possible for the Northeast Plains after about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon and this evening. And then for us here in the metro area, we probably stay dry. I'll leave a 20-30% chance at a storm in there. But if we do see a storm, it does have the potential to turn severe quite quickly. So I'd have the cars in the garage just in case. But I think here in the metro area, we'll probably get left alone. But again, a chance for a storm after about 8 p.m. for us in the metro area this afternoon, or tonight really, with some of those storms around again after dark, and we'll have some overnight storms around and through northeastern Colorado as well. Much drier for tomorrow and most of the rest of the week. That'll do it for me here on 9 News Plus. We've got Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin, who will have an update for you coming up at 9 News at 4 and 5 p.m. And then meteorologist Danielle Grant's in at 6, 9, 10 tonight on the 9 News family of networks. Once again, meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Stay safe out there this evening, especially in northeastern Colorado, and have a great rest of your Tuesday.